I love looking around and seeing people in love with Jesus, singing his name and watching what it does to them as they sing truth about him who gave us everything. There really is something about that name. It's the name of him who has given us everything, and he is perfect. In John 15, he says, I'm the true vine. I want to read from that this morning. But we want to look at Jesus and who he is, and look at the simplicity yet power of him, because he's the one we abide in. We abide in that simplicity of him. And Jesus saying in John 15:1, I am the true vine. In fact, when we back up a couple of verses to chapter 14, verse 30, he says, I will not be talking with you henceforth, because the prince of this world is coming, and he has nothing in me. He has nothing in me. I am the true vine. Jesus saying, he's pure. There was nothing deposited in him from the prince of this world. If we look at Jesus, we see his purity. We understand that. Humans, people, we are, our mind is being renewed because we've been products of our upbringing, our cultures, our teachings, our exposure to things, the situations and circumstances of life. We have reflected a conglomeration of all of these things. Jesus was not a product of anything of this world. He's the author of life. He always was, always is. He was not produced by anything. That's one reason he's the pure vine. He's the true vine. He's absolutely pure. He is not a product of anything that this world puts into people. He came to put something into the world. Right? Now, I said all that to say this. I want to briefly talk about genetically modified organisms, GMOs. You've heard of GMOs, right? You know what GMOs are. GMOs are, genetic modification is this amazing, amazing thing that we humans have figured out how to do. I can't even imagine how it's done. I know basically how it works, but essentially we've learned to take the DNA, which is, you can't even see the thing. And we've learned to take that, and we've learned to take DNA from something else and put it in there and create actually we're creating something completely different, even though it might have the characteristics that look a lot like something that we know. Whereas Leviticus 19:19 talks about like crossbreeding, that's one thing. They didn't have GMO technology back then, but in Leviticus 19:19, Jesus made this statement. He said, you shall not gender your cattle with other cattle of a diverse kind. You're talking about crossbreeding. He said, you shall not sow. He says, don't sow mingled seed in a field, and don't make your garment out of linen and woolen mixed together. And he's talking about mixture there. It's not a law for us to live in life. He's talking about mixture, and when he talks about things like that in the Old Testament, it's a type and shadow of something. And he's he's showing us the contrast between a mixture of something, excuse me, and the purity of someone who is Jesus. Jesus is not a mixture of something. Satan, the prince of this world, had nothing in him. If Jesus is a woolen garment, there was no linen in him. If Jesus was wheat, there was no rye in him. There was no mixture in him at all. He was pure what he was from the beginning, stayed that way, always will be. Jesus the same, yesterday, today, and forever, never ever modified. Right? Now, people have changed. In genetically modified GMO science, we do that. We did that for the purpose of making things better. We've learned how to take a crop of food, and whereas you got so many bushels per acre, now you can get multiplied upon multiplied times of that same type of food in 1 acre. We did that to feed more people. We've learned to take the gene of a bacteria, splice it into the DNA of corn. Now, this bacteria is not even an animal product. I mean, now we're crossing kingdoms here. We're taking a gene from, not a bacteria, but a gene from a bacteria, splicing it into the gene of corn, and we produce a corn that's resistant to bugs, a corn that has its own built-in pesticide. We do all these things to enhance our products, to make them all better. We produce so much corn with this stuff, and we have where it's mass produced. There's cattle that are just completely corn-based diet of some sort with this GMO special super corn. It makes them grow fast. It makes them fatter. All that stuff. We can feed more people. All that stuff has good intentions and good purposes. About 3/4 of all the food that we eat in America is GMO products, genetically modified. And you kind of have to search to find something that's pure. They call it organic. So you got GMO versus organic. And I said all that to say this, that there is GMO Christianity, a Christianity that's been modified. It's had things added to it. It's had things spliced into it to make it better, to enhance it, to boost it. And then there's simply organic Christianity. And we know that relationship. When we're talking about our Christianity, we're talking about our relationship with a person named Jesus, right? And it's organic. If you have a relationship with somebody, it's not just a business situation, which would be more mechanical sometimes, but it's organic. You're with the person, you know the person, you're learning the person. There's a growth in the knowledge of the person that's just normal, that happens through contact and over time. It's just an organic experience that goes on. GMO is forced by men. Now, it's called genetically modified because you're modifying the genetics of the thing, and genetic has to do with things that are hereditary, things that are inherent, that are passed on from generation to generation from an organism, an animal or a plant. When we modify it, we're breaking the heredity of that thing, and we're changing it and making it something else. And it's so, and it has to be contained somehow because it's so. I don't know if any of y'all do this stuff, but there are certain companies that they'll provide the seed, and they won't let you save the seed from it, in harvest, because they have the copyright on this thing, because it's not a public seed. It's something that is created by them. They own this thing. And if they catch people, saving it and planting their own from that, then they'll prosecute you. This stuff's getting at. What's going on is they're now it's starting to cross-pollinate and all this stuff's going on. So, but all of this is intended to just make it better. You think it's all better, right? Well, the problem is that there are side effects with it. And there's, and now since that, and my message is not about food or diet or anything. I'm making a point here. But there's side effects with it, because that which we meant to make it better, it seems like it's brought problems with it. E. coli was not a human disease. It's not a human thing not too long ago. And that came because we were feeding cows, the mass-produced cows a corn diet, and they're made to eat grass. And their digestive system needs grass to keep their system cleaned out. And so we're feeding them all this enhanced stuff, and so they get E. coli, and then you hear about it getting in the food and all. You hear these things that come up every once in a while. So that's one thing that comes up. They're thinking so many of these immune problems. You know how people are wanting me to pray for them, and about half the time they say, "Well, what's wrong with you?" They say, "Well, the doctor says it's an autoimmunity disorder." You know what that means, right? Yeah. They don't know. It means they don't know what it is. But it's just something that has broken down the immunities. And you ever notice these are all new things? You ever notice that, Nobody was allergic to peanuts. Anyway, all these things that they're saying that now they're dealing with just because we wanted to make things better. That's the point I'm making. And in Christianity, we wanted to make things better. We wanted to help. So we would add things. Things have come in over time, and the list goes on and on and on. Right before I left for church this morning, I just jotted down a few things that come to mind. So you have Jesus, the true vine. And, well, I'll go to my list here in just a moment. I want to go back to John 15. Jesus says, I am the true vine. Now remember, he had just said 2 verses before, the prince of this world comes, he's got nothing in me. Got no GMOs, I've not been altered. Nothing about this culture around me, nothing about this, the time that we're in, nothing about what the people are saying to me, nothing about all this other stuff that's going on, nothing about the Roman Empire, nothing about the thieves and the prostitutes, nothing about all that has changed me. The prince has nothing in me. He has not inserted any kind of genome into my system, if you will. And so he says in verse 1, I am the true vine. I'm the organic. I am not genetically modified. He says, I'm the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that doesn't bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, and it may bear more fruit. The point I want to make is here in beginning in verse 3. You're already clean because of the word that I've spoken to you. So now he's talking about abiding in him. I'm the true vine. So what he's made for us to do was he brought us the real. He brought the author of life came into the world himself, and he put us into him, into that which is pure, into that which is perfect. He is perfection, and he brought us into his perfection, right? And he says, and he says us in this. He says, now you're already clean. Now this is something we should always get forever, because one of the things that we inserted into the church to make it better was to convince you that you're not clean, to try to make you better, try to make you work harder at it, to try to make you get clean, to try to make you get perfect, to try to make you live holy, to try to make you whatever for Jesus. Good motive. Got a lot of people to the altar. Filled up a lot of revivals tents. But what did it do inside to generations of people that struggled with not feeling complete because they didn't know they were clean? Because we inserted through our preaching in many cases a gene of the world that says we're still flawed. That's right. Let me put it in. He says, you're already clean through the word. Verse 4, abide in me and I in you, because the branch can't bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, and you can't either unless you abide in me. I am the vine, verse 5, I am the vine, you're the branches. If you abide in me and I abide in you, you'll bear much fruit. This is organic. What do we try to do in the GMO church? We try to make you bear fruit. We try to produce the fruit. Huh? We tell you that you need to be fruitful. Try to produce fruit. He says, if you abide in me, that's how you bear fruit. You can't do it yourself. You do it by abiding. Now, what does it mean to abide? It means to just live. Huh? Live in the vine. Because if the branch is in the vine, the branch is going to do all the work. The vine is going to do all the work. The vine is going to supply all of it, right? Because he's the author of life, and he's the true vine. And you need nothing else because you got the real. You got the true, you got the pure, the perfect, you got the organic, the living. He says, well, without me you can do nothing. Look down at verse 7. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, then you'll ask what you desire and it'll be done for you. Why? Why does he say that? And here's where people mess up again, because there again, they don't see it as organic. They see, people have taken this right here and tried to make God into some kind of a machine, a slot machine. Well, if I do this, then I can ask something and it'll happen. He says, no, abide in me. Live in me. Huh? Let's be together here. Let's live together in this. He says, and if you know me, if you abide in me, if you've got a relationship with me, ask me. Ask me, I'll do it. You got friends, you got loved ones, you got people that you love. If you can do it, you will, right? If they ask you. Huh? If you can do it, you will. Of course, we're living in the one that can do anything. Huh? But it's not, he wasn't giving us a formula for having things, for getting what we want. He was giving us a relationship. He was giving us an organic life to have what we need in life. Are y'all hearing me? Have what we want in life. He says, if you abide in me, my words abide in you, you'll ask what you will, and it'll be done for you. And this is how my Father's glorified, that you bear much fruit. That's how you'll be my disciples. Verse 9, as the Father has loved me, I've loved you. So abide, now he's been saying all this time, abide in me, abide in me, abide in me. Now he gets a little more definitive. Abide in my love. Abide in my love. I love it when the girls sing that song, I will testify of love. Man, that's what you're talking about is the simplicity of Christ when you talk about that. You're talking about the true vine. Abide in my love. He that keeps my commandments abides in my love. Just as I have kept my Father's commandments and I abide in his love. Well, what's the commandment he's given us? Abide in him. Huh? If you abide in him, you're abiding in his love. Huh? Because what? God is love. That's the purity. There's nothing more pure than that. Yeah. Perfect love, not human love. Verse 11, and these things I've spoken to you, that my joy can remain in you. I've said these things so your joy can remain full. So in the organic, your joy is always full. It's a natural product of the vine. In that vine, abiding in that vine, or abiding in him, or abiding in love, or abiding in the Spirit, is love, joy, peace, gentleness, goodness, kindness, and you don't. And all is flowing from this vine into you, the branch. Out of that vine, there is nothing coming out of there that says, I'm not pleased with you. I'm bringing charges against you. You're not clean, and you better get clean. You're an imperfect bride. You better get glorified. There's no condemnation in the vine. And condemnation is not just, oh, you're an ugly sinner, stop. So most of us are smarter than to fall for that one. But it's anything that makes you feel less than. It's anything that makes you feel not qualified. Anything that makes you feel not good enough, not there yet, incomplete in him, because we're complete in him. Where it condemns you, it disqualifies you because you're not there yet. That's why I wrote the book Fullness, so people would quit chasing that carrot on a stick and sit down and live and love Jesus. Go with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 11. I love this. While you're finding that, look at some of the, well, let me read this here. Let me read this one, because this will make it even more clear. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul, writing to the Corinthian church, he says in verse 2, he says, I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy, because I have betrothed you to a husband, that I can present you as a chaste virgin to Christ. Now watch this. I love this verse here, because if you get down to the gospel and how we present it and what we're doing to the people, we're not trying to get the people to produce fruit. We're wanting them to abide in the vine, because then they'll produce fruit. So Paul, I love what Paul said. He says, what I did, I betrothed you to Christ. I got you a relationship. That's what I did. I introduced you to him. I preached him. Not what you have to do. I preached who he is so you could come to him and know him. I betrothed you to Christ. You're not my bride. You're not my property. I showed you him. I betrothed you to him, so that I could present you as a chaste virgin to Christ. There's perfection and cleanliness again, right? Holiness. But I fear lest somehow, just like the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, so your minds may be corrupted from the simplicity that's in Christ. Okay, 2 words here. Simplicity. Love that word. The simplicity that's in Christ. Here's another reason that people can sit in church 40, 50 years and still feel like they're trying to get somewhere. Because they've left the simplicity. The simplicity, Jesus himself told us. Follow Jesus. Live in Jesus. Abide in me. If you abide in me, abide in my love, and you'll bear fruit. Your joy will be full. We've got Christians, we have to counsel them for years so they can get happy again. Why? Because they've got all this GMO in here. And they're in the vine. They're in Christ. It's simple. It's all there. It's all in him. But we distract by our genetic modifications. We distract from the simplicity of Christ, and we make it about all these other things. He says, I'm afraid that because somehow, just like the serpent deceived Eve, what happened there? GMO. He inserted something else, didn't he? Yeah. Huh? You're not there. You need this. This will make you better. This will make you wise. This will make you like God. It's this stuff over here. And it was a total different thing that they didn't need to partake of and weren't supposed to partake of, and God told them not to partake of. Don't mingle that seed. So they take from this a total other kingdom, just like we do in the GMO science. From another kingdom. This isn't crossbreeding. This is cross-kingdoming. This is, and we modify this thing, and man was modified from the beginning. And there we go. With all our philosophy and our religion and our trying and our self-improvement and our self-condemnation and our self-aggrandizement and our self-centeredness and all this and everything has now been, what do you say? Corrupted. Corruption came in. What does it mean for something? How do you corrupt something? You just put something in it. And it's not pure anymore. You corrupt it. Take just a little pinch of dirt right here. My water's corrupted now. You know what? Your computer file. Sometimes you might have ever got a message that said files have been corrupted. What happened? Something else just got in. That's all. All your files are still there. Still there, but they got corrupted. And now all the info coming out of it is something else. It got corrupted just because something else got added into it. What happens when a body gets sick? Something else comes into it. And what happens to cause a Christian who abides in the vine, who in him their joy is full, in him you have faith because you can just ask what you will and it'll be done because it's organic. What we find out is so many Christians are struggling with the organic walk with God that they don't feel like they know God. They don't feel like they can hear God. They're always wanting the GMO. Give me the G. Give me the answer. They're asking me, Rick, say, help me to believe this. What do I need to do to believe this revelation? What do I need to do to get this revelation? What do I need to do to renew my mind? What do I need to do? And it's always, give me the gene that's going to help me, make me better. Insert that extra thing that I'm missing. That chromosome, whatever it is. And he says, you don't need an extra chromosome. You're complete in him. You don't need to be modified. I modified you. You are complete in him. Now you're where I am. Now you're pure. Now you can live organically. The Pharisees weren't living organically. No religion lives organically. No philosophy, none of it lives organically. No self-help, motivational thing is organic. It's all science. What is organic is Jesus brought us back to life. Back to heaven on earth, back to the kingdom, back to him. Now we live. To see how easily the minds get corrupted from that simplicity. Because just in the very beginning, like the serpent told Eve, that's not enough. You need this. If you want to be like God, you need this. If you want to be wise, you need this. If you want something good, you need this. And the whole time, Jesus is right there. In all of purity, he says, while people are trying to fill their thirst and they're trying to get what they need because they're not complete and they're hungry and they have passions and they have desires and they have wants and life's not good I'm so incomplete, and if only this would happen and that would happen, and if I had this and if I had that and had the other. And Jesus standing there the whole time and says, if you're thirsty, come. Come. And tell anybody if he's thirsty, come drink freely. We got these GMO modifications. No, if you want God to bless you, you got to do this first. You got to do this first. It's the blessing of this and it's that. And if you want favor, you have to do this and that and the other. No. It's like, Judy, I'm about to take Judy. We're about to go golfing for the first time together. You told me before that she hates golf. Have you ever played around with golf? No, but I took a lesson one time with a golf pro. She said, he spent all this time with me. She said, in all that time, everything he was telling me, she said, I could not connect with the ball. I could not connect the head to the ball, not one time. I couldn't hit it.
That's true.
But he was telling her all this good stuff. Chin down, left arm straight, knees down, feet straight, butt out, chin, all this stuff. And you're thinking 100 things. No wonder you can't hit a ball. So I said, well, come with me. So we go and she gets on the first tee. And I said, forget all that stuff. I said, just get comfortable and hit the ball. That's organic. And I'm not kidding you. You couldn't have scripted it. She goes, and it made this beautiful sound. And she's like, and she was hooked. And she only hit a couple more that whole day like that, but that's all it takes, right? But that's the whole GMO. That's why Christians are struggling trying to hit the ball. They're always needing, always missing it. I need another sermon. I need a revival. I need an outpouring. I need a touch. I need a visitation. I need. Put another chromosome in. Pastor, I need something. Verse 4. Because if he who comes, if he preaches another Jesus, a modified Jesus, a Jesus plus something, he preaches another Jesus that we didn't preach, or if you received a different spirit, a modified spirit. What is it? One that's been corrupted by additions. That was probably corrupted for something good. It was meant to do well. It was meant to help. It was meant to bring increase. But what I've seen in all of the modifications that we bring in is there's this underlying sense. Oh, we have great times, we have great teaching, we have great books, we have great meetings, great experiences, but there's this underlying, never, ever, ever really there. Always seeking, always searching, trying to hear God, trying to please God, trying to figure out what God wants. That's not organic. We share this all the time, but it just, I use it because it gives us such a good picture. You know, remember how they would say, ask Jesus, what must we do to work the works of God? Judy and I, we first get married, you say, what can I do to be a better wife? The answer is just keep breathing. Let's do it organically here. Rather than try to put in all these things that'll make you better, let's just be organic. Let's abide in love. You abide in love, you won't have to try to figure out what's good and evil. You don't need that knowledge anymore. Are y'all hearing anything? Yes. Or if you receive a different spirit than you've received, or a different gospel, modified gospel, that you didn't get from us, he says, why do you put up with that? He's reprimanding them because they were listening to it. Go to Colossians 2, please. Colossians 2, verse 4. Now this I say, lest anybody should deceive you with persuasive words. Verse 6. As you have therefore received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him. Now I love that verse because all you got to do is remember, how did you receive him? Did you receive him by fasting and praying for 40 days? Did you receive him by getting your act cleaned up first so then you can receive the gift, then you can get his favor, then you can be loved? Then you could be blessed. How did you receive him? You came just as you are with all of your flaws and nothing else about you. You came based upon his grace, his mercy, his salvation for you, his free gift of life. That's the simplicity, all him. Because him is all that is perfect. As you receive Christ, so walk in him. Why did we receive him one way and then start walking another way? That's what Paul was saying to the Galatians and the Colossians. Huh? Why did we have to modify this thing when what you got was the pure vine? Well, we thought we can make it better. We thought people needed more. So we came up with pet doctrines. We inserted these fad teachings. We brought in, we became a prophetic church. And something about this is that there's good in all of these things, but we don't need to modify. Here's another thing. Here, look at it this way. Here's something I see a lot. Here, people get in trouble, and I see people, they're losing their love, they're losing their joy, they're losing their faith. Because they're taking part of the DNA from the world of politics, and they're making it part of their gospel now. And their joy is not full anymore. Now they're frustrated. Now they're angry. And you say, well, I agree. There's a lot of things that you can stand for that are right and good. But do it this way. Instead of taking the world's genes and putting it into our gospel, let's take our gospel and put it into the world. Huh? You want to change? You want to change the world? You know what? I'll tell you what this world. Now there's a civil war going on in the souls of people. Maybe not physical, maybe not completely with artillery at this point, but in the hearts, there's a civil war going on. And a lot of Christians are on one side of this war. And the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Well, how do you do it the other way? You take the simplicity of Christ to that civil war. It's abiding in his love. I know. But when people aren't abiding in the simplicity, they don't know the power of that love. They don't know how easy it can change hearts. They don't know how easy it can change situations in the world. As you receive Christ, walk in him, rooted in him. There's that organic, abiding in him again. Rooted and built in him and established in faith like you've been taught, and abounding in it with thanksgiving. There again, that's the organic. It abounds with thanksgiving. You walk around, you're always thankful. You're just thanking God. You're thanking God. You're just thanking God because he's good. You're thanking him for your joy. You're thanking him for the blessing. You're thanking him for you're just enjoying abiding in the vine. But when you take in another gospel, you're not happy. You think all these things are making you better, but you're not happy. You don't have joy. Don't feel complete. Don't feel thankful. So beware lest anybody would spoil you. How does something get spoiled? How does something get spoiled? You smell something in the refrigerator, oh, it's spoiled. Well, it just went bad. No, it just didn't go bad. Something got into it and made it bad. There's something going on. There's something that got in and made it bad. There's bacteria there. So, he said, don't let anybody spoil you through philosophy. Vain deceit, according to traditions of men. They're taking things of the kingdom of this world and they're putting it in this gospel. Yeah. They do it according to the basic elements of this world and not according to Christ himself. He's pure. He needs no added chromosomes. Because in him, verse 9, dwells all the fullness. Somebody say fullness. The fullness of the Godhead bodily. And you are complete in him, organically living in the vine, who's the author of life, and he's the head of all principality and power. Would y'all stand up?
Amen.
Woo! I love the purity. My goodness. Enjoy. Okay. Now we take these genetic things from the political world and we act like it's part of our politics. Jesus told his disciples one night, take up a sword. I believe in the Second Amendment, but that's not what makes it valid. That's not what Jesus was talking about, is what I mean. We take political causes and we insert it in. We misinterpreted the Bible to mean that when God's talking about Israel, he's talking about America. And we believe it. Different, all kinds of movements and paths. There's Hebrew roots. Of course, there's the behavior focus. That's the big one. That's the big one, the subtle one. That's the subtlety of that serpent. It looks right. It looks like it's going to make it better, enhance it. Yes, I believe in grace, Rick, but what? How about this? All the mess. Focus on the devil. The devil, the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil. Freudian psychology that was brought to the church at one point, and they called it inner healing. You go back into your womb, you find all the hurts, you blame mama for everything, then Jesus will heal you. Or else you can abide in the vine and let it be organic.
Yeah.
But they don't believe in simplicity, so let's add these things. Where we've all got generational curses, and so this is why you got problems, and and if you can break these generational curses, you'll never have all these problems again. Well, what happened to the simplicity in Christ? How come I got to know this complicated thing? And the truth is, he broke all the curse, right? And the Bible itself says, we use this proverb.
That's right.
So there's no such thing. But it's subtle. This is why you got problems. Because back on the Mayflower, one of your ancestors fell off the ship. Got to break that curse. Or you can just be organic and just believe that every curse was dissolved in the life of Jesus. An overemphasis on revival simply because it tells you that you're needy. It's awakening. It's awakening to truth, something that's already there. A resurrection happened. Why do we want a little revival when we're in resurrection? But if you don't know, because we've been genetically modified, we think that we need. That's another thing that they're doing with this. Now the GMOs, they produced crops that are resistant to pests. Around it resistant. So now they made what you call Roundup Ready, or what crop where now they got another thing that they've modified to where they kill all the other weeds, they just, rather than go back to the true vine, they just keep adding more layers of modifications. Well, because they convince us that we're in a battle and we're going to lose if we don't rise up and fight. When Jesus won the battle, he's the true vine. He said, abide in me. Fighting is a fight of rest. It's a fight of faith, believing in him. Find end time things in here, but that's not what Jesus was about. He was about life. He was about you. A diet that may not be good. So there's certainly wisdom in that. But when you take it and make it gospel, part of the gospel, where people are afraid that they can't even be healed now because they're eating something wrong. We're complete in him. Father, I love you, and I thank you for your free gift, your easy gift, your good gift. You made it easy for all to drink freely. You made it easy for everybody they can eat of the true vine, the true tree of life, and all that are thirsty, you can partake of the river of life freely. Let everyone enjoy it today. Let everyone let the joy be full. Let the love just happen naturally. Let us know you. Let us just hear you. Relax so our ears can hear. Relax. Trust and expect and have faith. I thank you, Father, for every heart, every destiny, every life and home that's here today. And that your blessing and favor abides on us completely because of you. To you we give all the glory.